Next up, these here are all the glass colours laid out on the bench that I'll be using in this project, and I'm making the glass panels for this door that my client's purchased off eBay here, and he's restored it and he's painted it orange, and then I've made the design up to fit. And yes, he had to send over templates for these windows because they're all shaped panels, so he sent over the templates and I put them into the computer and I've drawn up these designs. So let's get going on this one. For the background glass, I'm using this Corella clear textured art glass here by Wismatch. It's 3mm thick and it's just a gorgeous glass. It's a really nice texture. It's got a good level of privacy because this is a front door, and yeah, it just cuts really well for these intricate shapes. So that's what I've chosen for this project. As you can see, the glass colours that we've chosen here for this design look super bright and vivid, like this streaky red amber reproduction antique cathedral that I'm cutting here. It's going to look fantastic with that orange paint that my client's chosen for the front door. It's going to tie in really well, and I'm always looking forward at this point to see the windows finished and held up to the light, because you never really know how it's going to look when you're laying out on the bench. You get a good feel for it, but it's not the same as when you get that final lift in front of the window. At this point, I'm going to apologise as there is a little bit of background noise. I used to have a very noisy neighbour, and it is part of the reason why I've recently moved from this old workshop. I do have a much quieter, cleaner workshop space for future videos. So yeah, cheers. This part of the video here, I'm just showing the leading together of the top window, the final part. So there's a few pieces to go, just showing you how I build the window. I did speed the video up ever so slightly, just to help it flow a little bit faster. Just to mention, for the lead came in this project, I've used a 1/2 inch wide flat lead came around the outer edge. That's the width of the came. And then for the main design, I've used a 1/4 inch round profile. So it's quite a narrow width, that, and it's just a much nicer lead to bend around these intricate shapes and these curves that we've got in the design. It's nice and soft. As I'm building the window here, so leading the window together, whenever one piece of lead meets another piece of lead, this will be soldered. So I'm trying to be as neat as I possibly can be. I don't want any gaps between those lead pieces. This makes the soldering much neater and tidier. I was looking at this photograph that my client sent me of the old original door here that they've restored, and if you look at the letter plate, so the opening for the post, it's been cut at an angle. This is to reduce sort of the post getting stuck in the door and it will fall into the property instead. This is something that they used to do on the old doors. It's not seen so much these days, but it's quite a cool little thing to spot. So that's the window leaded together there, and I'm just using the template that the customer sent me. This is what he made of the door. This is the opening size, to make sure that it's the right size, just to double check everything looks good. Rather than showing you the soldering of this window here, I'm going to wait until later on in the video and I'll show you some of the soldering for the lower panels, the door panels below. And at this point here, I've actually leaded the first right hand window, and I've used that as a template to cut all the lead work for the left hand window. Because they're a pair of windows, they're identical pairs, so I can use it as a template, and this speeds up the making of the project. This technique here that I use of pre-cutting the lead cane, it is super ridiculously efficient. As long as you are really accurate with the glass cutting and with the lead cutting, it does mean that when you come to build the panels on the bench, they come together so much faster. And because they're a mirror image, so there's a left hand window and a right hand window, because they're mirrored, it does mean that they are just super accurate and just the best quality that I can make them. So yeah, that's the way that we put them together. before I solder the window together, I use this flux paste. I use one called Powerflow if you Google that if you're interested. At this stage here, the windows have been leaded together and soldered, so they are strong enough to move around, but they need to go through the cementing process next. But I'm always excited for this part, which is the first lift up of the window. You get to see the colours together. So yeah, this is looking fantastic. So here I've moved on to the cementing bench, and the first thing to do is to press down the outer edge of the window. I do this to pretty much every window unless it's being encapsulated, and what I'm doing here is I'm closing up that cavity. There is a little small gap that runs around the outer edge of the window, and I'm just closing that up so it doesn't fill with the lead light cement. And here I'm forcing the lead light cement into the gap between the glass pieces and the lead came, and once this cement sets, it's where the window gets its strength and it makes it weatherproof against all the elements. You do have to be very thorough. You don't want to leave any gaps, any spaces. You have to do this on both sides of the window, and this is the same process that's been going on for hundreds of years. So all those church windows and cathedral windows around the world, they've all been made in the same way. Yeah, it's a very physical part of the job, but it's very, very important. So that's the window cemented, and it will now rest on the bench for a few days before I start the cleaning process. A few days have now passed, so I can start the cleaning process. So this is basically removing the excess lead light cement. The amount of time I leave the window depends on the size of it. If it's a huge window, I'll leave it for much longer, but these are quite small windows, so I can crack on with the job. Here I'm applying a black stove polish or a black grate polish, and this helps to remove the excess cement, but it also darkens the lead came. It gives it this gorgeous gunmetal finish. So here it is, project complete after a couple of weeks worth of work, ready for fitting. Cheers for watching.